3, 2, 1, go.
The Mythbusters are defying death in the quest for flight.
It's not a question of whether we'll get badly hurt, it's how badly hurt.
And we're busy busting myths about ways to legally beat the police speed radar.
Well, it didn't disappear.
Are you surprised?
Absolutely.
Who are the Mythbusters?
Am I missing an eyebrow?
Adam Savage
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
and Jamie Heineman.
Quack, damn you.
I wouldn't say Jamie's an evil genius.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
When will the fun ever stop?
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. Ever since we realized we couldn't, humans have wanted to fly like the birds. Gliders, hang gliders, and parachutes have made non-powered flight possible.
Woo! I fart on you!
But is it possible for a man to fly accidentally?
Plywood builder. Walk me through this one.
Apparently a construction worker up on the top of a building was holding on to a 4x8 sheet of plywood on a windy day, and the wind picks him up off the top of the building over the edge. Not only does he manage to hold on to the plywood, but he controls it well enough to be able to land several floors below in the building unharmed.
Cool, flying myth.
Yeah.
What's the overall plan here? What are we going to end up doing?
Well, I think Buster's going for a ride with a sheet of plywood, but ultimately, if we can, one of us should take a ride.
Well, you know, if I'm going to take that leap with a sheet of plywood as my only safety, I want to do some very serious testing before we do that. I mean, I'm thinking scale plywood and figure correct weights to scale and really see what kind of lift ratios we get out of this thing before we take that leap.
No matter what you're searching for, you'll probably find it in Jamie's M5 storage system.
Toys X.
If you look hard enough, you might even find a mini Buster.
Jamie, there's a guy here who seems kind of perfect.
It's a toy prototype built by Jamie.
I think we should go for the goatee, but that's just because I like a goatee.
Mini Buster is the right height, but is he the right weight?
I am roughly 6 feet at 180 pounds.
Thought you were 190.
Okay, I'm just using some easy, I'm 190. Let's say, stand 85th percentile male, right? 6 feet, 180 pounds. Proportionally, that's 72 inches to 180 pounds. 10 inches tall, 25 pounds. I just did the math. I need him to weigh 25 pounds.
So you're saying that he needs to be built out of depleted uranium?
Do you have some? Is it under D or U over here?
Adam figures he should be calculating volume, not size. So in fact, Mini Buster is close to being the right weight. The small-scale testing also needs a sheet of mini ply.
Just almost exactly 50 pounds.
We're weighing a piece of plywood so that we can replicate this in a small scale.
But even this tiny piece of ply is proportionately too heavy. Christine reduces its weight by drilling lots of small holes.
Okay, there we go. Perfect. This is a scale replica of what, say, Adam or I with a full-size sheet of plywood would be if we were 10 inches tall.
A high-speed camera will shoot Mini Buster falling in front of a scale rule. A computer will then calculate his drop rate. The test is repeated with the mini ply.
Okay, Christine.
So what did we learn with the drop tests of the miniature Buster rig?
Well, the plywood slowed him down about 25%.
25% from a fall with nothing, right?
Yes.
Just the human falling.
Yes.
But 25% slower is still not slow enough. If they tried the plywood myth themselves,
The best that we would be able to accomplish, it sounds to me, is just broken legs and arms, but maybe not a broken back or a smashed skull.
I'm willing to settle for that.
It's too big a risk for a human, but no problem for Buster. That's once his rubber crash test dummy hands have been swapped for some plywood-grabbing clamps.
See whether it actually will support somebody on it, because Buster happens to be about my size and weight, so looks like it works. Now, Buster, this won't hurt a bit.
So Buster's new super grip robo hands are welded to his arms.
Plywood.
According to the myth, the builder was holding a sheet of 5-ply when he took his unscheduled flight. That's made up of 5 thin sheets of timber compressed together. As well as trying a regular sheet, Adam and Jamie will use the 5 individual sheets to design their own flying rigs.
So what are you thinking for taking 5 plies from a sheet of plywood and getting the most amount of wind resistance out of them?
Well, my thought, first off, was to array them like a car leaf spring to where we extend the surface area.
You might, of course, end up spinning like a helicopter all the way down.
Which might not be a bad thing, because helicopters, as we know, land a little softer than just the same shape without the propellers, because they're spinning and they get lift from that.
Yeah, but skydivers also have what they call a death spiral.
Well, there is that.
See, I'm thinking of something totally different. I'm thinking of laminating them in such a way that you actually get a curve out of it.
Sure, the original myth only involves 1 sheet of 5-ply, but Adam and Jamie really want this to work. So they're using the 5 single sheets to build the most efficient plywood flying rigs they can. Adam coats the cardboard sheets with light spray-on glue and then puts them together in various 5-sheet permutations.
It's a nurse's hat. Oh, Nurse Savage. So these two represent Jamie and my first ideas about the best ways to slow your descent using 5 plies of plywood. I went with the air scoop idea, but Jamie is trying to make the most square profile to the air going down. And then I started to think, could you just have a little hole in the center and get a lot more square footage? I'll try this. Then I started moving towards the scoop, like this, so it's a kind of bridge between Jamie and I. And then we get to these like radical scoops, all of which can be done out of plywood. I've developed a feeding bag because I find lunch just takes too long and I'd rather just eat while I'm working.
Adam prefers the parachute approach, so he and myth-turned Christine decide to check out Jamie's old army chute.
Maybe it works by the top being bigger than the bottom, and so air is scooped into it.
I think we need to inflate it to actually see how it's constructed. Because this is a little confusing.
Where's that fan? Let's see what we got. This parachute is about 12 feet wide, 28 feet long. That's almost 300 square feet of area working against the wind. Turned off my fan.
300 square feet, and not much weight.
168, it's about a 10-pound parachute.
I feel like I'm caught in an unruly evening gown.
All right, so it's about a 10-pound bag.
The parachute weighs 5 times less and has more than double the surface area of the 50-pound plywood.
I guess it might work.
So what have you been thinking?
I'm not sure which approach is best. Should we be going towards a parachute or an actual airfoil? You know.
Well, I mean, I think we want to do one of each. I think we want to do one parachute design, like my flying nun thing, and one wing design.
Using the cardboard sheets to design his wing, Jamie attempts to maximize surface area while not compromising strength. The scale prototypes for Jamie's wing and Adam's parachute are complete. Time for a test run.
We're going to do some drop tests with some of the first mock-ups of these flying rigs.
I've got one that kind of looks like the flying nun's habit, and Jamie's got one that's just a broad piece of as much material as he could get with a couple of stringers.
Hopefully we'll have at least some idea what this is going to do before we actually go out and do it in full scale.
First off, Mini Buster gets no help at all.
0.9 seconds.
Go.
Then some combination wing parachute designs slow his fall
Go.
a little.
1.11 seconds.
What's
Is
our
this
next
the Jamie
point?
wing?
Yeah.
Jamie wing.
3, 2, 1, go.
1.05 seconds. Back to the old drawing board.
Now for Adam's pentagonal parachute design.
That actually wasn't too bad.
That was the best one yet. That was 1.48 seconds.
But Jamie won't take this lying down. He refines his wing prototype.
Ready when you are.
3, 2.
He twists his wing to make it spin.
1.4.
It's interesting. That's up there with the high performers on the other ones.
Yeah.
So we've decided on the two that we're going to make. One is the hexagonal parachute and the other one is the wing here then, because this actually got almost as high a performance.
All right.
The cardboard scale models have done their job, but the real test will come when the flying rigs go full size. Scotty, Carrie, and Tori have been like little Santa's helpers.
Oh, I'm gonna be sick.
Whenever Adam and Jamie have devised some myth-busting mayhem, it's often been this trio's job to make their boss's twisted visions a reality. This time, however, they're going to be in the driver's seat.
That doesn't look right.
All right, guys. So your first story on your own. What have you got?
Well, what we're going to try to do is legally beat the police radar.
Legally, huh? So not the commercially available radar or laser jammers.
Exactly. We've heard all kinds of ideas, like jingling your keys in front of your window.
Disco balls, CD from the rearview mirror, foil on your hubcaps, putting LEDs around your license plate, microwaves, and covering the entire car in foil.
So how are you going to tackle this one? What's the plan?
Well, obviously, we need to get a radar gun. We're also going to try the LiDAR, which is a laser system.
Lift it up a little bit more.
And to test them, the first thing they're going to need is a car. Earl, the Mythbusters Cadillac, should do the job. You remember Earl. He's the car the guys use for target practice.
Oh, man.
Our resident grease monkey, Scotty, has to get him back on the road to recovery.
It's going to be stubborn.
While Scotty coaxes the caddy back to life, Tori and Carrie do a little radar research.
You're not working fast enough, dude.
You got up to 16 that time.
That's it?
Yeah.
Felt like 60.
Now, Carrie's packing a normal radar gun. It fires microwaves that hit the target and bounce back at a slightly different frequency. The frequency difference determines the target speed. Tori's wielding a laser speed gun, or LiDAR. It shoots 1,000 samples per second of infrared laser light at the target. Speed is calculated by comparing the distance between each sample.
Before we get to the real car and do tests, we want to do some sample material tests on the RC car. But before we can even do that, we have to make sure that the RC car will even show up on the radar gun.
The RC car has a top speed of between 5 and 6 miles per hour. But will the radar detect it?
4, 5. We got a reading.
So the RC car is visible to the radar. Now, to make it invisible.
Right now I'm making extra shells to the body of the RC car. 'Cause now that we know how the radar and the LiDAR work, we're going to do some tests on all of our materials. Beautiful. It came out perfectly.
The game of radar hide and seek has been played out since World War II and has sparked the growth of stealth technology. Modern stealth aircraft have flat surfaces and sharp edges. They're also coated with materials that absorb radar.
So every foot?
It'll take way too long to coat Earl in all the materials the myths mention. The remote-controlled car is a much simpler option. But why the blue paint?
Theoretically, it's supposed to change the wavelength of the reflective light on the LiDAR, so we'll see if we can pick this up at a different distance. Are you ready?
I'm always ready.
Okay, go! How fast? 5 miles an hour?
6 topping out when you get to the finish line.
We'll never get pulled over for going 6 miles an hour.
So we're actually picking up this car sooner with the blue than without the blue. Isn't it supposed to be absorbing the light?
That's what they say.
It's actually making it easier for us.
Myth number 2, prism tape. This stuff's used to make fishing lures. It might fool fish, but can it rattle the radar?
All right, yellow reflective. Go. Well, the reflective tape is, as far as the RC control is, it's a myth. I'm picking it up a lot faster than the control.
And I have no change at all. It's the same thing. I'm picking it up just at 50 feet.
So far, no good.
The most common myth that we've heard of is the tin foil or aluminum foil. So what we're gonna try now is the aluminum foil over the car.
Go when you're ready.
37.
Is it doing anything?
I'm actually picking it up sooner. So if you're avoiding a ticket, this is not the way to go.
One of the myths says that an LED will mess up a LiDAR detector. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to rig up this test one with an LED.
Go!
LEDs are infrared, and they're supposed to scramble the LiDAR's infrared beam.
So the LED do anything?
The LED seemed to have no effect on the laser.
Well, it didn't have a significance difference, but it was about 10 feet in difference. We might want to try it on the big car as well.
So on full scale, that could be a mile.
The only thing left, a type of paint which is supposed to absorb radar.
It's actually embedded with a bunch of iron and makes it really heavy. It goes on like frosting. And it's so expensive that if you were actually going to paint your car with this, you might as well just pay off all your speeding tickets.
The paint's so heavy, the RC car won't even go.
Don't give up, Scotty.
You can barely go.
Has this myth been busted before Earl the Caddy is out of the garage?
They look really cool, guys. Did anything you tried have any effect on the radar's ability to detect them?
The radar can detect all of these cars.
We also can write off the prism tape. It actually made it more detectable. It's supposed to deflect the laser, but it's actually reflecting it back better.
So the plan now is to go with the most popular ones, like flat black and tin foil, and we have a few tricks up our sleeve as well.
But before Scotty reveals her tricks, can Adam make plywood become flywood? Adam and Jamie are testing the myth of a builder flying off a skyscraper while holding a sheet of plywood. They're helping the myth out by using 5 single sheets to create their own flying rigs. After testing scale models, Adam has decided on a parachute-like design, and Jamie is building a wing.
Go back further. So.
The plywood wing will be big, 4 feet wide by 20 feet long. And that's the reason they're measuring the workshop.
Never build anything inside a space that you can't get it out of.
The plywood sheets may be heavy, but they're also fragile. Adam removes his 5 sheets from the 12 available.
Screw.
Make that 11.
One tore, bringing it out, trying to get it out of the way of Jay, the cameraman.
Using a scale model, he calculates the angles for the full-size version. He measures up the sheets and then lays them out. Meanwhile, Jamie is placing the sheets for his wing on a cradle made from 2x4s.
Well, look at what you're doing. You're going to laminate it up on the curve.
Yeah, you know, I figure we'll get the glue to actually help it hold its shape before we put the struts in.
Jamie's plan is simple but effective. He'll achieve a curve in his wing by placing weights in the center of the plywood sheets. When the ply is glued, the curve should remain. Meanwhile, Adam glues his plywood using a Jackson Pollock impersonation. Then, to press the sheets together, Adam uses a Fred Astaire impersonation. Adam's pentagonal plywood parachute is taking shape. He's just got to remember those sheets are really fragile. Now they're down to 10 sheets, and there's no room for error.
I need one more piece.
The last sheet of ply is found and slid into place carefully.
Got it? All right, cool. You can let that down. Thanks, honey. Boy, that was a pain in the ass.
Jamie's wing is looking good.
Oh, and I want to put the strip down.
Narrow strips of ply are used as strengtheners.
Yeah.
charm.
Okay, now we go out and bring the pipe in.
Finally, the curve is achieved by adding whatever weights Jamie and Christine can find.
There we go.
Cool.
I'm actually really happy how this came out. And tomorrow when the glue is set, we'll remove all the wood, and hopefully this will retain as much as possible of this curve. This will give us something to work off of for the final touch, which is the twist, because I'm going to put a diagonal on this that'll torque this thing a little bit and create a propeller shape, which gives us the spin, and the spin gives us the lift, which slows us down.
Could a builder fly through the air on a sheet of plywood? Adam and Jamie have glued together 2 plywood flying rigs for Buster to find out. But how will they know if Buster survives?
Jamie, a key part of this myth is going to be how lethal is Buster's impact when he lands. And we have installed auto industry computer accelerometers in him before with greater and lesser degrees of success. I mean, we're always entering Mythbusters meter hell. I think it's time that we build our own G-force meter.
Yeah, you know, if we can't find it, we'll build it ourselves.
Exactly.
Inspiration comes to Adam in the form of a light bulb.
I'm hoping that these light bulbs will end up being the sort of soul of Mythbusters' home-built G-meter. We're going to put these inside a ball so that they break at a fatal amount of G-force.
And to add a little drama and realism, the bulbs are filled with fake blood. If they break, we'll know it.
This is a nice thing.
Isn't that cool? Don't you have all the same nefarious thoughts? Hey, yeah, you're dripping it.
The bulb is sealed and placed inside a pair of aluminum sugar scoops.
Ready?
Yeah.
Time for a test drop.
This should be the non-lethal distance. It made it. That's good. All right, I'm going to try the high point. Ready?
Yeah.
Wow.
It looks gruesome, doesn't it?
Oh, what a horror show.
The new G-force meter is instantly christened the Ball of Death. The Mythbusters have turned decades of occupational health and safety death descriptions into a figure for brain death. 80 Gs for just 32 thousandths of a second. Because the ball is solid metal, it builds up a lot of G-force in just a small drop. But once it's cushioned by Buster's head, it'll survive a much bigger drop. Jamie has used weights to curve the plywood for his wing. But what will happen when the weights are removed?
Jamie, this looks great, man. It looks like it held its curve quite nicely. That was pretty darn rigid.
Yeah, it actually is holding its shape quite nicely.
It racks like a monster.
Which is what we want.
Twisting the plywood wing will turn it into a spinning propeller.
Yeah.
This will further slow its descent, in theory.
So we can rack it this way or rack it this way, depending on whether I want clockwise or counterclockwise rotation when we go down.
Which way you want to vomit?
Backed up.
Have fun flying with it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Adam's plywood parachute will cause a little, motion sickness. He's left one section unglued so as it can be pulled together to form the plywood into a dish shape.
Hey, Jamie. I'm gonna need some help with this.
Now be careful, in a blink you're gonna end up with a split right along that line.
Jamie and Adam's plywood creations are nearly done. Jamie uses a diagonal cord to increase the twist on his wing.
Okay, now let it go. That's more like it.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
And Adam, well, he's just Adam.
Whoa!
It comes as no surprise that Adam didn't measure up to see if his creation could actually exit the building.
Wait, you're caught. Snap.
Okay.
Jamie's wing made it outside and into the truck easily. But Adam's plywood parachute is a pretty close shave.
God, that just barely fit in there.
The flying plywood test site is at Hamilton Base in Novato, an hour north of San Francisco.
I want one of these for myself.
After 47 years as an Air Force bomber and fighter base, Hamilton closed in 1976. The old control tower will be the ideal place to drop Buster.
I think we're gonna need to use the crane to get up here.
Well, that's what the crane's for. Shouldn't be a problem.
That's perfect. We're actually going to do some drop tests with Buster and some various things that are mythically held to be able to help you survive a fall from several stories. I'll just move this over here.
Nothing much has changed in the last 100 years.
Hey, can someone let me out? Our project today is mounting up the high-speed camera gauge right here on my right.
The tests will take place in front of a scale ruler. A computer attached to the high-speed camera will then be able to determine the exact drop rates. And it's all for this guy. But does he care?
He's a very relaxed dude.
He doesn't know what's about to happen to him.
Human transport.
When Buster drops, the ball of death G-force meter will tell us whether he survives or not.
Okay, be careful with this guy now. He has a brain.
Buster will be raised up on the crane and then dropped on cue via a cable quick release.
Once you get up in position, push the blue button and pull out the safety pin.
Okay,
When you pull out the safety pin, it's live, and when you yank on this, he'll drop.
I got it.
And to make sure Buster's the only one who drops, Jamie attaches himself to the crane with a safety harness.
This is so when the machine tips over, I'm held firmly in place and can't escape the destruction.
Those go under your butt. That was great. That was worth the whole season to watch that. There you go.
Up goes Buster, 60 feet up.
Oh man, Buster is toast.
So they can work out if the flying aids do slow him down, Buster's first drop will be totally unassisted and very painful.
3, 2, 1, go.
I was laying on the ground when he hit, and I felt the ground move a little bit.
I never get tired of doing that.
The high-speed camera reveals Buster is traveling between 34 and 35 miles per hour when he hits the ground.
What's the verdict, Christine?
I think he's dead.
That's a shocker.
Buster kind of looked like a baby bird that just fell out of the nest.
Since the police started using speed radar back in the 1960s, there have been a lot of myths about legal ways to beat it.
Are you ready?
Scotty, Carrie, and Tori used an RC car to put some of these myths to the test.
How fast? 5 miles an hour?
Now they're rigging up Earl, the Mythbusters caddy, for a full-scale speed radar assault.
We're making a wheel made of mirrors that catches the wind. As the mirrors get to the back side of this wheel, they should reflect the radar back and fool the radar into thinking we're going slower than we actually are.
They plan to attach an array of mirrors to a bicycle wheel, which will spin on top of the car. But Jamie's got other ideas.
You get that thing spinning at 20 miles an hour, it's going to the glass is going to shatter, the thing's going to vibrate itself apart. I think you should get some 3/4-inch birch ply, a big rod compass. Draw yourself your 3-foot diameter circle and facet it off.
Suddenly, this radar rig isn't so simple. Jamie's just turned it into a big, complicated build. Still, it gives Scotty a bit more time to work on the caddy.
Come on!
It looks like she might need it. Meanwhile, Carrie's working on another myth.
I'm making a chaff gun that we can explode out the side of the caddy right now. I'm cutting up the foil into little pieces, loading it up like a potato gun, and shooting it off a fire extinguisher.
During World War II, aircraft under attack dropped large clouds of chaff to confuse enemy radar. The chaff was just small pieces of foil, which hid the plane's exact location.
Oh, I love it when things fit perfectly.
The chaff gun is powered by a modified fire extinguisher. And the test firing is a success.
So glad I gave up my desk job.
Did you ever have a desk job?
Second floor reception.
The revolving rig is also taking shape.
Theoretically, the radar will hit in here and it'll send a stronger signal to the receiver. And if this is moving slower than the car, then hopefully it'll read that instead of the car speed.
Carrie's also heard a myth about microwaves messing with radar.
I'm stripping the magnetron out of this microwave so we can mount it in the front of the caddy. And that way we shoot microwaves back at the radar and the LiDAR.
Well, if it doesn't beat the radar, maybe it'll intimidate the cop.
The LEDs didn't trick the LiDAR when they were mounted on the remote-controlled car, but Tori thinks they're worth another try. 300 LEDs will be wired up to the caddy's license plate. Finally, it looks like we're ready to roll. Revolving mirror rig? Check. Microwave gun? Check.
If I were you, I'd stay farther away from that.
Chaff gun? Check. LED license plate? Check. Now, do we have a car?
Whoa! That doesn't look right!
This is the California Highway Patrol Academy training course, and it's the ideal place to see if our Cadillac can slip underneath the radar. A few of the guys from CHIPS are on hand to oversee the experiment. If anything does beat the radar, they want to know about it.
This is gonna freak them out.
So in a lot of the tricked out cars I've seen, they've had a CD dangling from the mirror or they've had LEDs around their license plate. Does this do anything?
It's not going to do anything, and plus they're both illegal.
It's illegal?
You can't have anything hanging down from your rearview mirror. It's going to obstruct the driver's view.
So if you're gonna pull over somebody who has a CD hanging from their rearview mirror, I'm betting that you would pull over somebody that had a giant disco ball hanging from their rearview mirror.
Absolutely. I'd love to see that.
We're gonna try to get through the techniques that we think are kind of dumb first. So we're gonna do them all together. CD can attach that to the mirror.
All these shiny accessories are supposed to bounce back the radar's rays and confuse it.
Which, by the way, that's illegal.
But it looks so cool. Lastly, can you jiggle these keys?
Make sure it hits the radar.
That is so stupid.
On each pass, Scotty will keep the caddy steady at just under 50 miles per hour.
We're about to do a test. You ready?
Okay, the Disco DeVille is locked, loaded, and ready to freak out the radar.
Over.
Whenever you're ready, over.
On my way.
Ooh, got it on radar. 39, 40. 48, up to speed. 49.
All right,
I love that sound.
So keys, disco ball, CD, busted. No effect whatsoever.
Are you surprised?
Absolutely. All right, next let's do foil on the hubcaps.
Done.
The next radar myth, tin foil on the hubcaps.
Scotty, hit it.
$42, $43.
700 feet, 47 miles an hour.
Once again, though, the radar and the LiDAR have a fix on Scotty all the way.
Still jiggling the keys, still doesn't work.
Maybe that was too subtle.
I think maybe people think that because it's kind of crumbly, that the radar will shoot at the crumbles and maybe dissipate. But it's just one giant reflector, if you ask me.
You'll be able to see it from outer space.
Yeah, she's going fast. Or I'm just picking it up way sooner. 47.
Yep.
Oh, yeah! Foil's been foiled!
We'll see if the LEDs can light up this experiment.
One infrared license plate.
Perfect. All right, so the theory here is that these infrared LEDs are on the same wavelength and have enough intensity to fool the LiDAR.
300 LEDs are emitting infrared, but the LiDAR's own infrared beam is locked on all down the line.
47.
Busted!
I was aiming right at the LED license plate, and nothing changed.
Absolutely nothing changed.
Busted.
Busted.
Okay, let's try Carrie's magnetron gun.
And yes, I know I spelled magnetron wrong. That's supposed to have an E. Don't email me. That jumped up so fast. It is definitely working. The K-band radar operates on about the same frequency as a microwave, so we're going to shoot microwaves towards it to try to confuse it.
I got a 49.
But the radar still has the caddy in its sights. No change at all. The magnetron theory is busted.
I had no difference in the speed. I got like 48 miles an hour. Is that what you guys got?
Yeah, and I picked her up right away.
Maybe the aluminum foil firing chaff gun will be able to trick the radar.
Scotty, we are good to go on the chaff gun.
On my way.
Run it, Scotty!
As the caddy passes the radar, Carrie will trigger the chaff gun from the back seat.
It didn't go! Why didn't it go?
I have a feeling she forgot to pull the pin.
Look at... Oh! Oh my God. I'm a total dumb... I don't know what's going on.
A quick reload, and we're ready for take two. This time, Carrie's right on cue. But again, the radar is unaffected.
It all blew to the side.
Which is going to be more expensive, the speeding ticket or the littering ticket?
The littering ticket.
All right, now my favorite, the Wheel of Death.
The mirrors on the Wheel of Death are supposed to be revolving at a slower speed than Earl is traveling. Will the radar detect the speed of the mirrors or the speed of the caddy?
46, 47.
The radar result is exactly the same.
44, 42, 40.
Carrie detects an anomaly.
It's giving a weird Doppler reading, but overall, it's not really making it look like it's going any slower.
In fact, the only surprise is that you wouldn't be pulled over for having this on your car.
It'd definitely catch my attention, but it's not over height. There's nothing against it.
There's only one thing left to do to try and make the caddy stealthy. Cover the car with matte black paint. Will the matte finish reduce the car's reflectivity and absorb the radar signal?
It's like a 60s gang car. We're gonna pile in and go to a rumble.
Well, it sort of looks like a stealth fighter.
This is it. This is the one. This is the one where we think we may have the edge.
What do you got?
I got 48.
47.
47. Okay.
Got it right away. That was our best bet, and it's busted.
Time for the guys to report back to Adam and Jamie.
Well, we tried almost every theory that we heard. Disco ball, CD, keys.
Busted.
The ever popular foil in the hubcaps.
Busted.
LED.
Busted.
Microwaves.
My favorite, busted.
Chaff gun.
Surprisingly busted.
And black paint and tinfoil all over your car.
Busted.
Totally out. Amazing.
The only thing that gave us any result, but just barely, is my favorite, and I think you're gonna like this one, Adam. The radar Wheel of Death.
Oh my God. What did this actually do?
Hardly anything at all. It just varied the audio tone that the radar sent back that let you know how fast the car was going.
I think if you're gonna get out of a ticket, short skirts and crying is still the way to go.
It's been a bad day for Buster.
He's lost his head.
They've amputated his hands, they've operated on his skull, and they've made him bleed. Could it get any worse?
Buster's gonna die.
While they're at Hamilton Base, Adam and Jamie are using Buster to test out a few other flying myths, like umbrellas. Christine loads up the Ball of Death G-force meter with the fake blood-filled light bulb.
All right, safety device number 1.
Buster's first mythical safety device is an open rain umbrella. Well, at least he won't get wet.
3, 2, 1, go. That was great, Jimmy. Come on down. Well, it actually held up quite well. I'm looking forward to see if it slowed his fall even a little bit. First fall was 35 miles an hour. My guess is 33 miles an hour. Were you able to see that from up there?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. The umbrella held up like until just about the last 10 feet.
It's not the fall that gets you, it is that last 10 feet.
There's plenty of fake blood, but the ball of death reveals a surprise.
That's not that broken at all. There's one of two conclusions we can draw from this. Either the umbrella did a significant job in slowing his speed, or we're a little incompetent with our home-built G-meter. And personally, I'd vote for the second one.
The high-speed camera reveals what really happened.
Feet first.
So, because the umbrella held him upright, he actually fell faster this time, 38 miles per hour.
Yeah, but what about the impact?
Speed isn't the only factor in a fall. How you impact also affects survivability. In his free fall, Buster's head and body hit the ground at the same time. Even though the umbrella drop was faster, Buster's body acted like a shock absorber, greatly reducing the impact on his head. That's why the ball of death only cracked.
He's probably dead anyway.
Oh, you're dead. Let's get the big picnic umbrella.
All right.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Good to go.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, drop. That was pretty cool. That didn't look entirely unsuccessful. I'm trying to keep a straight face, but I can't.
The picnic umbrella reduces Buster's speed to 29 miles per hour. Slower, but not slow enough.
He's dead.
It's no myth that a parachute is designed for this purpose, but can it open in only 60 feet?
On my mark, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. That worked almost stunningly well.
Buster's down to 28 miles per hour, but unfortunately, his head smashes into his own knee.
I'm sorry. We did everything in our power, and Buster didn't make it.
Yeah.
Get off him, you pervert. He's a poor, defenseless dummy, and look what she's doing.
As well as being killed 4 times already, Buster has sustained some pretty serious injuries. Time for some in-the-field surgery.
Right. Let's get him up. Let's fly this guy.
But sometimes even a crash test dummy needs a little positive affirmation.
You know, Buster, everyone really appreciates how you're willing to take one for the team time and time again. Are you ready for a piece of plywood? Oh, I can tell you're feeling it. Oh, he's ready.
Finally, the original flying builder myth is to be put to the test.
He's gonna die, but it's gonna look great.
We're locked and loaded, over.
Remember, in the myth, the falling builder is able to glide gracefully back inside the skyscraper, totally unharmed.
Go. Buster was such a good dummy.
Rather than slowing him down, the plywood increases Buster's velocity to over 36 miles per hour. His body snaps the 5-ply sheet in half.
He's got blood dripping out the back of his head.
Oh.
Getting used to all this blood, Christine?
Still grosses me out.
We can look at the speed tests and we can look at the death ball, but I don't think I need to see either of them to say this one's busted.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. He went straight down. There was no deflection off to the side or anything, and he's done for.
Let's go get our solutions. Let's go try my wooden parachute.
Okay.
Adam and Jamie have taken the 5 component layers of the plywood sheet and created 2 flying rigs for Buster to try. Jamie's design is based on a spinning wing, and Adam's is modeled on the parachute.
Ready to drop.
These rigs represent 3 days of skill, passion, and effort. Pity, really.
A fat lot of good that did.
And that's why they don't make parachutes out of wood.
Oh well, the best laid plans. It was a nice idea.
Nice try. It worked most of the way.
I'm taking solace in the fact that your wing is going to fail so utterly spectacularly.
You're probably right. But then you never know.
Then you never know.
Jamie is quietly confident his rig will do the job.
4, 3, 2, 1, go! Woo!
Do you feel better now?
I do. I feel a lot better.
All this Buster dropping has created an impromptu Mythbusters fan club.
So Adam, what do you think? Did he go slower at all? At least he didn't flip over again until the right at the last minute.
It didn't spin at all, and then he went totally sideways and landed on its edge, and he just collapsed with it. It was a horror show. And unfortunately, he was off center, and the high-speed camera caught none of it.
Bummer.
Oh, man. Poor guy.
And the crowd's verdict.
That was better than I could have ever hoped.
Buster's day has come to an end. Now it's time to see if a Mythbuster can fly. Adam and Jamie rig up the zip line from the control tower to the crane. The crane backs away to tighten the cable.
Stop! Oh, I'm totally looking forward to flying with a piece of ply. I mean, even though Buster took a hard hit from it, we're doing a more controlled test so that hopefully Jamie and I won't get horrible head trouble while doing it.
We're ready to go.
But it is always a strange thing to throw yourself out over the edge of a 60-foot drop. Your body resists it.
But this is the only way to find out if it's possible to control the plywood sheet in flight.
We have liftoff.
You. Forget about controlling this thing. There's no control. I mean, I tried pushing my head up against it. At the peak, I could not get it. It's just like all over the place. And I was holding it dead center.
Huh. Well, that's the most interesting thing about this whole thing so far. I mean, we've tested everything we could, but short of actually jumping off a building and seeing whether you die or not.
Run.
Jamie has even less control over the plywood. There's just no way you can steer this thing.
Well, more than any other data we could come up with, Buster's a pretty clear indicator of how survivable a 60-foot fall actually is. But what was our actual data?
Well, not surprisingly, the parachute was actually the best at about 28 miles per hour. Right behind it was the large umbrella at 29. What really surprised me was that the plywood was no use at all. In fact, it broke over Buster's back upon impact. And our rigs didn't do anything at all, didn't help either.
From a controllability standpoint and from a velocity hitting the ground standpoint, this is one of those myths that's just unequivocally busted.
Yeah, absolutely. Myth busted.